Hello, my lovely peaches. So I'm sitting here in my multi-purpose room, my bedroom, my office, my studio, my living room, coats on my bed. And I don't care because right now I have just a little window of time before my son is done with fencing, and then I gotta get ourselves ready for bed. So I just wanted to do a video where I talked about all the reasons why I believe Wendy Adelson is guilty as fuck, in my opinion. Hello, so I'm just gonna pop in and say that I filmed this video over a few days. I hope it's concise as much as possible, and it is a bit of a rambling talk to myself as I go through all the things and the reasons why I believe Wendy with an I is guilty AF. Wendy with an I for guilty. I think that's so fucking funny. There is an I in guilty, but it's not me, it's you. So anyway, enjoyed the video, and I did throw in some clips and things here and there to add to what I was speaking about. And also I will be massaging myself, my pain in the neck, while I discuss this pain in the neck with my massage tools. So enjoy. Rattling off why Wendy is guilty AF IMO. Okay. I was going to try to make an organized video where I had written down all my notes in order and said all the things and make a really concise video, but honestly my neck is still killing me and I have limited time, so maybe I'll just massage my neck because she's a pain in the freaking neck, I'll tell you. By the way, this is one of the coolest things I've ever had in my life. It came in a set. I did not go through. Maybe this is appropriate to show. Oh, it has the name on it. Vivacious. So I guess this is the way they consider it, but it's like, so you're like, oh my God, this thing is so good. It is smooth and amazing. It has so many uses. So, all right, so I'm just gonna rub my pain in my neck a little bit while I talk. And then there's also this one, which came with it, which is also amazing. And if you're interested in seeing me use these, this is called wood therapy, by the way. These are wooden and gorgeous. And I bought them as an emergency. I am in such dire need of help. And the last thing I should be doing right now is making another video. But anyway, okay. So on with the list of reasons. So just as a side note, I've watched the 5.5-hour police interview of Wendy Adelson from July 18th, 2014, which was the day that Dan Markell was shot. Okay, I found it. I did remember there's a 4-hour version that the dubbing is off, and that was on Law and Crime or something. This one I found that was the correct dubbing is by Deep Dive True Crime Mentor Lawyer. Let me give that a like. Okay, so this is the full interrogation of Wendy Adelson.
That's what this is about.
All right,
I'm sorry you had to hear it that way.
I'm sorry, I didn't know if I should...
She listens to the voicemail
just leave it there.
before he tells her anything.
Do you want to just hit play again for me?
Sure.
It is Friday, and I feel like an idiot doing this, but I just heard that there was a shooting over on Prescott, and
I promise I'm not trying to be dramatic or even nosy. I just, I don't know, just checking on you, my friend. I hope all is well. I hope.
We just have to eliminate everything. Okay, you know what she's saying, right?
I'm assuming I'm a suspect.
No, you're not a suspect. I don't consider you a suspect. I asked you to come up here. You came up here voluntarily. I'm not Reggie Miranda. You are not under arrest. You are the closest thing to family that I have to Daniel right now. Okay? You are.
I'm so sad and hurt.
So,
I was thinking about something else. He told me that he comes, we have week on, week off, but on Wednesdays we do an overnight.
right.
And he told me that he might have some work up in New York and he might not be back in time for the Wednesday overnight. So there's no way that he did this because he had all kinds of plans like for next week. That
You're saying he would not hurt himself?
No.
Okay, all right.
It wasn't him.
Okay.
Nobody
He has no
said it
reason
was,
to hurt
bitch.
himself or anything like that.
No, I mean, I can, and I get why I would be a suspect, but the idea that we were divorced, and I get why I would be a suspect, but the idea that we were divorced, the idea that I would ever do anything is like, I understand why they need to check, but I don't know who would though. I don't know who would do this. I could see why they would think it would be me. I understand why I'm a suspect. I guess I'm not a suspect. I understand why you would think that I would do this, but not you, but...
Right.
I'm just worried about the kids. And I'm so sorry for his family.
Like that.
I understand why you
But,
think I'm
but-
the primary suspect.
No, you're not the primary suspect. I have to work just as hard, whether you were or you're not,
Okay,
Okay.
I understand.
to show what your activities were.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And let's put it this way. I think you're a straightforward person, and I think at this point, if you had anything to do with this, you'd have already told me.
Okay.
You haven't.
Right.
So
She ain't never gonna tell
my
nobody.
thing is that let's let the
My ex-husband caused me a lot of grief. I would never do something like that.
Yeah, we don't believe you. Yuck.
and
I would never do something like that.
and it's
So
gonna.
I understand why I would be the person you would think would do something, but
Well, we have to work just as hard to eliminate
it's
people.
fine.
I
I want to figure out
understand.
who this is because I'm honestly worried.
Well, let me ask you, if you found out that this was someone that you personally know, would that change your mind about what should happen to that person
About what should happen to that person?
for prosecution purposes?
No.
Is there any way that you would think
if
somebody-
somebody tried to kill my ex-husband, they should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law.
Regardless of who it is.
I mean, it would be different if I thought it were my brother, but I don't think it was my family. Anyone outside my immediate family, that's a tough one.
Okay.
But I don't think my immediate family did this, so... if
And why
it's
did you keep
anybody
mentioning
else-
them?
Yeah.
Would,
So, if it's anybody else, yeah.
okay. Would you think that this guy Charlie would even be capable of doing something like that?
No. No.
It's just talk.
He's the Joker.
Okay. All right. Based on
They thought we were still married, and so I was telling him everything, and then I was thinking, oh my god, now they probably think I'm a suspect. I should...
Of course you're a suspect. And
That's
you're a
Jane
smart suspect.
McPherson,
You should
her
be the suspect.
friend.
But, you're not going to...
They thought we were still married, and so I was telling him everything, and then I was thinking, oh my god, now they probably think I'm a suspect. I should...
Of course you're a suspect. And you're a smart suspect. You should be the suspect. But, you're not going to get framed for a crime.
Right.
And it is in your absolute interest to, in every way...
To come back? Do you need to, am I a suspect? Do you need to, watch me?
I don't need to watch you.
Okay, I'll be back.
What I'll do too is I'll just check and see if you can call your
Yeah.
kids. Okay?
Yeah.
He's Wendy, of course, they've been interviewing her as a suspect, and I have suggested Jeff Lacasse. That's my confirmation.
That's
I also
my.
suggested that we get her
What'd she
rabbi
say?
over there. He's Wendy, of course, they've been interviewing her as a suspect, and I have suggested Jeff Lacasse.
That's my contribution. Yeah, thanks, Jane, after she freaking made you think so.
Because he's alone, he doesn't.
Well, you know, they're used to thinking. A lot of times things will happen like burglaries, or they deal with suspects who aren't cooperative and don't, you know, they're like, give me my stuff back. And
Yeah. I can't imagine that Jeff would do this. I see why he's a good suspect.
Wow. What, your bitch?
I can't imagine that Jeff would do this. I see why he's a good suspect.
What a bitch.
And Jane thought of him right away, but I didn't. I don't know why that is. I wasn't trying to be protective of him. I even thought of my own
Freaking
family.
liar. Watched the 3 Jeffrey Lacasse police interviews as well, which is combined 2 hours and 17 minutes. If you watch it on, I think it's Deep Dive. I can find out real fast the name. I got those videos of Jeffrey Lacasse and Wendy, I believe, from Deep Dive, True Crime Mentor Lawyer.
I thought we were fixing to crucify Wendy right here as far as everything, and that she was directly involved. And don't take involved.
He just was the natural, the first thing that popped into
So what do you think, Jeff? You don't, okay, so when you first started talking to me today, and don't take this the wrong way, but when you first started talking to me, I thought we were fixing to crucify Wendy right here as far as everything, and that she was directly involved. Not necessarily that she killed her ex-husband, but had solicited for someone to do it.
I still believe that. I'm 100%, I never say 100%, I'm a researcher.
Killed her ex-husband, but had solicited for someone to do it.
I still believe that. I'm 100%, I never say 100%, I'm a researcher. I was 90% sure when I talked to you guys in July. I was waiting for you to catch somebody, because then maybe I'm crazy, right? So then when Myron May happened, I thought maybe it was Myron May, you know, I'm just wondering. At this point, I'm pretty confident.
This is an email that...
And I watched Luis Rivera police interview. I watched his testimony, I think in the Katie McBanawa trial. Okay, another shout out to another person I love and follow, Corky-san. Okay, I believe I found the video on her channel. Let's see real quick. I watched this one that she posted. It was very interesting. Watched this one. So I've watched a lot of stuff. I was joking with my kids this weekend saying, I earned my bachelor's degree in the Charlie Adelson trial this weekend. So, okay, so finally. Now, on to all the reasons. So I'm going to, like I said, rattle them off. I'm going to try to, think of them from the beginning. And I don't know what they have that's proof, evidence of this hardcore. I don't know exactly what they can use against her. Ooh, right there is, such a knot. I don't know what they can use specifically against her. And I don't know exactly what she'll have immunity. I did hear one of the lawyers on Surviving the Survivor Tonight say, or was it somewhere else, saying if they knew certain things before, they can still use it against her. Okay, so what were the reasons? Well, what are the reasons that I think that make it clear to me that she was guilty? She is guilty AF, and she should spend her life in jail with the rest of them. So Jeffrey Lacasse had mentioned quite a few unusual things about how it seemed that she tried to frame him. There were 2 Fridays where he was supposed to be going out of town at 11 a.m. And supposedly one of those was the first attempt, and the other one was the actual murder. And if he had plans, and if he hadn't changed his plans, then he probably would have ended up arrested, and they would have figured it out eventually. But yes, he would have definitely looked a lot more guilty if he had done what she knew, he told her, which was leaving Friday at 11. He also said if he had left Friday at 11, he would have left right after the murder, and he would have probably driven only a couple of blocks away from Dan Markel's house. Only because of where his apartment was located. There was that. Also, Jeff said that at the end of June of 2014, there were several moments while he was there with her and the kids when he noticed she was off in the kitchen by herself and she was crying. And there was like 5 or 6 times, and he said it was so weird and out of the blue, and it was so weird that he even told his friends about it. And when he asked her what's the matter, she'd always have some excuse or say nothing. And he thought it seemed as if she were grieving for something. He also said that specific weekend, that week, July 18th, seemed like a really big deal before it came, and that in his mind it was like a drum beat drumming something coming, something's coming, and it was that week, and he felt that way. He felt a weird heaviness about it, how she was so weird about it, weird about making plans. And they actually had a vacation planned to go to California to see his parents that was scheduled from July 11th to the 17th, and she was so upset and bothered about the idea that she might get back late to pick her kids up at 4 p.m. on Friday from school that basically they canceled it. Even though he said it didn't really make any sense to him because it wasn't winter, or they weren't going anywhere with bad weather, and they were coming back Thursday. And even if something did happen that was on the off thing, you know, they have friends that can pick them up. Like he said, it just seemed so weird, but he was like, okay. And he actually thought, maybe you don't really want to meet my parents or something. Maybe you don't want to go. And he's like, I'm okay. No, I want to go. It's just, I have to be back. Then he said there was also a couple times where he was trying to schedule something with her and she had her calendar open, and he felt like that particular week she was very weird about. Also, she wanted to do a staycation, and he said he thought that was bizarre because Wendy hated Tallahassee, and it was like the hottest week of the season, and she wants to stay in town. And then he wanted to take her to the beach, Augusta or something, and she was like, okay, fine, but we have to get up really, really early and come back. And again, he thought that was weird because why do you have to get up and be back so early when you don't have to pick up your kids till 4? But he was like, that's fine. I'm supposed to be heading out, going to Atlanta at 11 anyway. So we'll do that, and I'll bring you back. I'll drop you off, and I'll head out. Then it ended up not happening. She broke up with him several times, but she strung him along for almost a month. And even after 2 weeks of not speaking because she was in South Florida, he thought it was definitely over. And she strung him along for another week, which he thought was very weird because it helped if she was trying to frame him. Okay, so then he also said lots of other things about how Charlie basically set up his alarm bells within minutes of meeting him. His relationship with Wendy was very weird, and he was talking about weird stuff, doing very raunchy sex stuff, punishing his girlfriend Anally, and all this weird stuff. And he's talking about this stuff right in front of his sister. He's like, I thought that was very weird. Okay, so then there was a moment somebody very, very, very astute noticed and notated in the comments of one of his police interviews. And Jeff whispers to himself while he was there in the police interrogation by himself for a moment, she did this. I think it might have been the one that Mentor Lawyer compiled them all 3 together into a 2-hour, 17-minute video on his channel. I actually watched them twice. I watched each one individually, and then after I watched a bunch of other stuff, I went back and I listened to the whole thing again. And I also have listened to about 10 hours of Charlie Adelson rambling and blaming Wendy. And oh my God. Please also go check out Pretty Lies and Alibis. I did actually include her in the description of a couple. I used a little snippet of her videos where she uploaded the jail calls from Charlie and Donna. Another shout out, check out Pretty Lies and Alibis, and she also just uploaded a couple new ones that I haven't heard. So you can see I listened to the ones that have the red line. You can see I listened to all those. And then there's many that I have not listened to. And then I listened to some of his calls on other channels. So yes. Okay, so back to why I think Wendy's guilty. So I'm sorry if you're like upset that I'm not looking at you and I'm doing this, but I gotta do this. So I'm thinking and I'm massaging the pain in my neck. And if you find it annoying, I'm sorry. Okay, so I think this is very bizarre. There's a couple of things that have not been made a big deal of, and I think they're really weird. Luis Rivera said in his police interview, where he was in a room with 3 men and a woman all sitting at a table, and he was like in the chair, and he had his handcuffs on. And at one point he said the night before the night before the murder, he was sitting in his car in the parking lot of the hotel while Sigfredo was in there doing drugs and partying, whatever. And he noticed an owl. He saw an owl and he thought it was cool. And he took a picture of it and posted it on Instagram. Then he said Katie McBanois called Sigfredo and said, "What the fuck is wrong with that motherfucker?" You know, like, is he an idiot? He's posting on Instagram. He's tagging his time and location. Like, while you're about to do a crime. Like, get that shit down. Okay.
The mechanic, you know how to do it a little worse. He fixed it himself. Okay. He fixed it up and everything.
Right. So then, what do you do that night after you're at this new motel?
We're just hanging out. Just chilling the whole night. We didn't do nothing, stay there the whole night. I parked the car in the back, just sitting there. I didn't do nothing. I was throwing threw a picture of the owl, like I told you. Posted it on Instagram.
You saw an owl, a bird, I don't know what kind, it sounded like a barred owl maybe, that landed in that parking lot at the hotel and
Took a picture.
scared him.
And what happened after you took a picture? What you did? I took a picture and put it on Instagram. Then what happened? Kennedy calls Doodle. Tell him to take that shit down. If he's stupid or what. So, you know, I'm like, well, I took it down. I don't know if I took it down right away, but I took it down. So she like, why would you do that? You can't tell nobody where it's at. And in my mind, I'll be talking on the phone all fucking day. The fuck you worry about me putting the picture on Instagram? So yeah, I put it on Instagram. She called him and told him to take it down. So I took it down. That's it. We just hung out all night. The next morning we left.
Well, the next day, when Wendy got picked up and went to the police station, she very coincidentally was wearing a t-shirt that had an owl on it. Coincidence? Could be. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's reaching. It's just very, very, very weird to me. And I would love to know, when did she buy that owl shirt? That's another little thing. Like, if I was investigating, I would say, when is the first time that anybody ever saw Wendy with the owl shirt? Did she previously have that owl shirt? Was that some type of code? I don't know. Was it absolute coincidence, or was she like, owl? He's, you know, like, by posting that, it's like saying, hey, we're here. Because they were from South Miami. So that meant they were up here ready to do the job. So that could have actually been a signal. Like a bat signal, but an owl signal. Anyway, I think that was weird. Then also weird, which Charlie has not been able to stop harping on, and I actually think some of Charlie's jail calls sound like the perfect opening for Wendy's trial. I could completely see Georgia Campbellman pressing play for the jury on all the throwing under the bus that Charlie has been doing relentlessly in those calls to his mother, to his father, to the baby mama Bree, to the girl Sky who called, to the guy he was on the phone with who was never identified, some dude, his friend, like literally every single person he's talking to, he's going on and on and on about the fact that it's literally like a 1 in a million chance that she would just happen to be driving by his house an hour after the murder, down his street, to go to a liquor store to buy bullet bourbon of all things. So one of the things is supposedly that there is an email where she was invited to stock the party, stock the bar, wedding party, something like that, engagement party, whatever. And I have not been able to find any, like, you know, evidence of it. I mean, maybe if you go into those legal sites and you pay for it, maybe you could get the actual documents. I don't know if it's public or not, but I haven't been able to find anything online showing this email. I have found at least one comment, which again, I don't know if it's just a random comment somebody made up, that the part about bring the bullet bourbon was handwritten on the email. Now, if that's true, so what I'm hoping is, like, Georgia has all these little nuggets. That's what somebody commented. And I'm like, you commented the thing that I've been dreaming. Well, I think I said, that's what I hope. That Georgia has stacks and stacks of evidence that she didn't pull out for Charlie's trial because she didn't need to, because she's holding it for Wendy. She probably got stuff for Donna and stuff for Wendy. So I think the fact that she drove by the scene of the crime, and that does reveal awareness, prior knowledge, and I believe, that hurt, involvement. Ow. Then Luis Rivera has said, Luis Rivera, in case you don't know, was the driver, not the shooter, but yes, he's going to jail. He's in jail forever and stuff, I think. I don't know if it's forever, but I don't know what his sentence is, but probably forever because it's murder. So, see, this is very cool because it has these things, which are lovely. And I like how they're not all even. And then this whole thing is very lovely too. You can go this way, this way, and then what I love about this, I think you can see, it's curved. It's not just flat. And so that gives it these grooves that, like, dig in. You can, it's just so good. Anyway, so what are the other things? Oh my God, the whole 5.5 hour police interview. Guilty. Guilty as a motherfucker. Fake crying, fake hysteria, fake sadness, crocodile tears, throwing her brother under the bus 20 minutes in, threw her parents under the bus, said Jeffrey Lacoste was a suspect. She also, I thought quite bizarrely, said that she knows they think she's a suspect. And she said it, I don't know, I didn't count, but I was like, is this bitch gonna say it 100 times? How many times does she need to say, oh, I know you think I did this, or I know you think I'm a suspect or something. I'm the one who would do this, you know, like, I feel like she was saying a lot of truth in that part. You gotta watch that thing. She is guilty as hell. Scary guilty, okay? Then there's other things, how she moved 2 days after. Okay, 48 hours later, she's gone. So she wanted to move out of Tallahassee. She wanted to go be near her parents, with her parents. She wanted to be in South Florida. He denied her. Dan Markel denied her. She lost the petition to relocate, and she was stuck. And also Charlie mentioned her book. Her book basically painted the picture of her life. And there was some really good point that Charlie made, and I don't know if he got it from Georgia Kappelman or if he put the connection together, but he said that her book was like maybe it was George Kappelman, but he said the book was like, what do you call it? Like a premonition, predicting, foretelling, foreseeing, prophesizing. I don't know if he said foretell or prophesy. He wasn't prophesize. Telling the future before it happened. It was like, basically her book was speaking of the future that hadn't happened yet, that ended up happening, which was going through that town that she made, Hiawatha or Hiawassee, that sounds just like Tallahassee, a blip on the way to civilization, and that she wasn't going to stay there. And that's what happened in the book. She ended up leaving her husband in the town. She had 2 boys, and he was like, the book was just like, her real life. And what are the chances? What are the chances? What are the chances she'd be driving past his house an hour after the murder? What are the chances? Oh, she just couldn't help herself. Just like Georgia Kappelman said. That's what Charlie said 1,000 bazillion times. She just couldn't help herself. She just couldn't help herself. Also, did I mention that Luis Rivera said he saw her the day, I don't know if it was the day before the murder or the first attempt. He claims he saw her walk in there, and then supposedly that was never proven to be true or false. But he said he saw her, and he even testified that he had identified her photo in the police station. When he said he saw her, I guess they showed him.
Do you remember statement that you gave to the police?
I'm going to cut some of this out just to make it more concise. If you want to see the whole full thing and every question, watch it on long
Now,
time.
you told us, okay, that you told this to the detective. That's Wendy. Remember that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And isn't it true that the detectives then showed you a picture of her? And
Sure,
you
ma'am.
ID'd her?
Yes, ma'am.
That sounds familiar to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we should have a picture of Wendy Markell with Wendy Adelson with your signature on it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, the next day is the murder, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You scope out Dan Markell's house.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. There's a couple times where you actually see him going and you follow him to the daycare, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you see him drop his kids off, right?
Yes, ma'am.
But you don't abandon the plan.
No, ma'am.
Now, the very next day, which would be the Thursday, the day before the murder, isn't it true that you say that you saw Wendy Adelson walking on Trescott Drive?
Yes, ma'am.
This is the street of Dan Markell's house.
Yes, ma'am.
You remember that this took place before 12 p.m., correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And what you saw was she was 2 houses down from Markell's house with the boys, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You say that you guys come face to face with each other.
Face to face. I'm in the car driving.
Right, but
She's walking.
She's walking. So
I can see through my rear mirror. I looked at her. I can see her through my rear mirror, looking at the car.
So just so I can picture it in my mind, are you guys walking in the same direction, or is she walking towards you?
We're not walking. I'm in the car driving.
No, I
She's
know.
walking.
I apologize. So you're driving. Are you driving towards her face to face?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's what I was asking you. And you testified today that she got on the phone as soon as you passed her.
Yes, ma'am.
You see this woman and you say you recognize that she's staring at you. So you bring it to Mr. Garcia's attention, right?
Yes, ma'am.
What was his response?
That's that lady. That's the lady with the kids.
Okay. So he didn't even say her name.
I don't remember.
Okay. You said that Sigfredo told you that's Wendy. And that she came to make sure everything
I
is
just told
all
you
right.
I don't remember.
So you don't remember that either. Is that what your testimony is today?
The day of when I had with the detective, I remember telling him that, but right now I'm telling you I don't remember. You refreshing my memory though. So
No, that's fine. So when I told you that you said that, you remember that you told that to the police?
yeah, right. Nah, I do.
Okay. And you told them it happened before 12?
Yeah.
And that Sigfredo already knew it was Wendy? That's when you say that Garcia told you that the money came from Wendy.
Yeah.
Then on January 31st, you said Sigfredo said again that Wendy was going to pay. Remember that?
Yes, ma'am.
But then, in March of 2019, you told us the dentist's sister wants her kids back. That's what you said.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now,
What else? The fact that she benefited the most out of anybody. Like, yeah, her mom benefited. Yeah, I guess Charlie benefited by getting the mom to shut up about it. And the dad benefited by getting the grandkids. But there was no one who benefited as much and as profoundly as Wendy, because she lived in Tallahassee with her kids and she hated it. And she was 8 hours away from her parents and her brother, and she didn't want to be. And so she felt trapped. And what Jeff Lacoste said was, because he said he was always trying to convince her of how wonderful it was, because he lived there by choice. He didn't have to live there. He moved there because he loved it. So he said, here I am, the boyfriend, trying to convince her it's wonderful. And she was always like, I hate it. And the fact that she said, the fact that I didn't choose this is what makes it so hard. And she also she felt that South Miami was a better place to raise her kids. She didn't want to raise her kids in that backwards ass town of Tallahassee. So she benefited the most, literally more than anyone. Yes, Donna wanted it and Donna got her way, but I believe that if Wendy had said, are you out of your fucking mind? You're not going to kill the father of my, I mean, and I don't even know if Wendy was the one who said, like, kill him. That was another thing Jeff Lacoste said, that there was a couple of things that he said. So he was saying to her, you know, is there a chance that you're going to leave? I know how much you hate it here. I know how much you want to be in South Miami. He said that, or not in South Miami, South Florida. He said that literally every chance that she had, she was out of town. And that Dan had the kids 1 week on, 1 week off. And that she almost always spent her week off down South Florida. And he said it was like having a part-time girlfriend. And he was basically daddy duty. And there were so many things. I mean, you've got to watch his long talk. And there are so many other reasons in there. Little things that he mentioned that he noticed that really made, I mean, oh, that's what I was saying. That this person who was somebody who really listened hard and that commented in the comment section and put the timestamp. There's a time in Jeff Lacoste's police interview, where the police leave him alone for a moment. And he's just sitting there thinking to himself, and he says, she did this. But he says it very quietly to himself, just the once. She did this. And like, you're seeing, like, he really believes it. Because it's true. She benefited. There were so many weird things that he talked about that paint a picture of somebody who knew, and who, like he said, it's like she made a decision and she was sad about it. She was crying to herself in the kitchen here and there, but she was fine with it, okay? And
what would have been his motive? The hell?
Whoa.
What was Wendy
Time of
thinking?
passion.
it's gorgeous.
Breaking up and Jeff's upset. I mean, so I don't know if she said that to you guys. I know you can't tell me that. But she was telling people in her social circle, apparently, that they shouldn't contact me, I guess. That, you know, this was really a possibility. And that just seems deeply suspicious to me. A lot of these people aren't really close friends with me, but I found out about this crime third hand. And that just struck me as incredibly strange. And suspicious, very suspicious. I just got a couple other things, and I'll answer your questions. Yeah. Calling Officer Hale, said, hey, just so you know, Wendy has a key to that house on Trescott. So I know there was some mystery and discussion and speculation how the guy get in, or, I don't know, the crime.
Also, the fact that she never let the Markells, Ruth and Phil, see their grandkids. She cut them off. That's cold-hearted and evil. And she changed the kids' names. She changed the kids' names from Markel to Adelson. And I watched some of her testifying a couple times, and she claimed it was a year later, but then Georgia Kappelman, let me take this up. She said it was a year later, and then Georgia Kappelman said, but when you enrolled them in school, like a month later, right, because it was in July that he died, so in August or whatever, a month or so later, she registered them in the school as Adelson. So even though it wasn't technically their birth certificates weren't changed for a year, she effectively changed their names almost immediately. Then there was the fact that they were supposedly going to bribe Dan, pay him $1 million so she could move down there. I don't know if they actually did offer him the money for real, or if they were like, you know what, why give this man $1 million when we could just pay $100,000 to get rid of him? Oh my God. Then there was the fact that she never told Jeff herself. He said he had been co-parenting her kids for like 4 months, putting them to bed, and she never called him.
I found out about this crime third hand, and that just struck me as incredibly strange and suspicious, very suspicious.
So at this point, I might have missed some reasons why I believe she's guilty, but now hearing Charlie go on, this you can use too. Hearing Charlie go on and on and on about how 1 in a million chance that she would be driving down that street at that time, on that same day, an hour later, and how he almost started to believe it. He said he was sitting there thinking like, damn, this shit is believable. I think I believe it too. I mean, there's a lot of reasons in Charlie's diatribes of that. There's so many issues wrong with it that, his guilt, in my mind, is absolutely beyond any reasonable doubt. There's absolutely no reasonable doubt that could possibly be had at this point with all the evidence that he thinks is just one in a million coincidence stacked upon another 1 in a million coincidence, and all the things that are like the fact that he paid. There's so many reasons that he leaves out and he focuses on what Wendy did, but I think it's because they're all guilty. They all know that they're all guilty, and now he's realizing that his ass is stuck in prison for the rest of his life with no possibility of parole. He'll never do anything again except fear for his life and be miserable. And Wendy's out there living her best life. And yeah, I don't think it's going to sit very well with him. During the trial, he was hinging everything on the fact that, I'm innocent, everything's a coincidence. And apparently he didn't even know for sure that Wendy had actually driven down Trescott, and he learned the fact of that being true and not just some BS Georgia was throwing, like the spaghetti that his lawyer Dan was throwing at the wall that nobody believed. So now he's realizing that he actually is going to live the rest of his life, the rest of his days in prison because of what he did for that Miami bitch, his fucking sister, and now she threw him under the bus and the rest of them. Yeah, he's not going to sit there quiet while she's out living her life. No, ma'am.
Like, they broke for the weekend. She must have had a team of 10 people help her with that closing. That closing was just a mountain of like, look at these crazy people. They hate you guys in Tallahassee. Look at what his sister wrote in a book. Come on, y'all, use your common sense.
I'm sorry for all
if you're gonna take somebody's life from them, and you're gonna go ahead and convict them of first-degree murder, it has to be, well, beyond a reasonable doubt means there's no other fucking way this could have happened. Like, I know how it happened. You have to be so sure you know how it happened. Like,
yeah, no, like
They didn't prove you beyond reasonable doubt at all.
No. I mean, listen, if someone said to me, like, isn't it crazy that your sister shows up at the crime scene an hour after it happens and takes that route on that day to go buy a bottle of full of bourbon that's nowhere? She passes 4 other liquor stores and takes a obtuse route to go to that liquor store. It's 17 minutes from her house. I would go, you know what? Common sense tells me, like, it sounds like she's involved, but she's not. I'm not. Like, it just happens to be a crazy coincidence. She built the case off of my sister going by the house and the TV joke and the TV code. There was no code on TV. There was no TV code.
Wait, what did you say? I'm sorry.
Can you hear me? Or the wires aren't good on
I lost
TV repairman. Your mom saying that the TV is about 5. Your TV joke. Like, it was like solving a murder based on TV. There was no fucking had anything in the world to do with TV. And she keeps saying it. Creating publicity. Listen, Ruth Markel spent more time at her book signing than she did with her grandkids, and she probably got to see it. That's a fact.
more. Yeah.
Way more time sitting at her book signing talking to strangers than when she finally got a chance to talk to her grandkids. But nobody knows that. That's not. You know what? Can't come out. You know, I would have been nice if Wendy's like, yeah, they finally saw the grandkids, saw them for an hour, they didn't give them a hug or a kiss, and they haven't asked to see him since. That's the truth.
Yeah, the truth. The truth. What happened?
Instead, when Wendy said that's unconstitutional,
wait, hold on.
One is a real leader, or convincing the other one, and that can happen too. If you can get 3 or 4 or 5, and they can really convince the other 5 or 6 or 7 that, like, hey, the state does. It's not if y'all use your common sense. It's beyond a reasonable doubt. It means there has to be no other way possible this could have happened.
Yeah, well, that's what Alex and I were just discussing before you called me, and he said it was like this folksy. I said that's just what I said to Charlie. Folksy Southern person who gets up there and relates to them and tells them, "Listen, if you think he's guilty, he's guilty. Use your common sense." And he says, "This is not about common sense. This is about a man's life."
Use your common sense, y'all. Like, okay, like I'm the first one to say the fact that my sister showed up at the crime scene an hour after it happened from 17 minutes away, and she had to drive down Prescott is beyond fucking horrible. Beyond horrible. It's a 1 in 10,000 chance. So it's a 1 in 10,000 chance she's telling the truth. If you present it as in, yo, use your common sense, I would say she had to have something to do with it. She's not going there for, give me the real reason why she was there. You know, if she wasn't going to the house, she sure was taking the route when she was going to the house and turning down that cut street and turned up. Like,
I mean, it's a crazy coincidence, but it is what happened. It's a coincidence.
Yeah, the problem is, like, when someone sees that crazy of a coincidence,
I know. Let me just tell you something that I don't want to forget. Do you know how many times they applied for a change of venue for you?
No. Hey, revolve around my mom, around my sister, my mom's emails, the fact that my sister, this is especially a chance. The day of murder, my sister leaves her place, goes and buys a bottle of bullet bourbon, and so she goes to the same liquor store she's always gone to when she is married. She doesn't buy alcohol. So she goes, and she only knows that to go there by driving the route of her own house. So she leaves her place 17 minutes away, drives towards her old neighborhood, and then goes to turn around the street. Well, though it's just actually just go an hour early. It's all cordoned off. Like, she's got a tree that fallen in the street. There's tons of trees up here. And that's why it was just blocked off. She made a U-turn and she went another way. Well, Georgia Appleman stands up and she's like, Wendy couldn't even help herself. She had to go to the crime scene. She had to check it out. Like, Wendy left at, exactly, she got there exactly an hour after it happened. Like, and, you can't deny my sister showed up at the crime scene, but it's insane. She went to the same liquor store she goes to constantly when she was married. Right. If she passed, there would have been 4 other liquor stores that were closer to her house before she got there. And then even when she's going from her house to that liquor store, there's a more direct route. But the only way my sister's horrible with direction. The only way she knows to go is the way she used to go from that neighborhood. So she went to go drive down in front of her old house and then take that path. It's a logical explanation. It's just one of those things you go, what are the fucking chances? Right. How many times, sometimes she was going to her house to pick something up. She went to drive in front of the house to get her bearings to go to the liquor store. There's not 5 other fucking liquor stores closer. Right. So it happened and stands up, and she's in the closing, she's Wendy couldn't even help herself. And what was she doing 48 hours later? She was leaving Tallahassee. My sister wrote a book, and there was a line in the book where she's my sister was an immigration lawyer. The lady in the book was an immigration lawyer. My sister's husband was a professor. My sister made her husband in the book a professor. They both had 2 kids. The girl in the book had 2 kids. And then so my sister named the town they lived Hakawasi, kind of sounds just like Tallahassee. And my sister in the book said it was a little stop in the middle of nowhere on the way to civilization. The Kappelman's she was basically foreshadowing that she was stuck here in Tallahassee, and then she left the civilization 2 days after Dan was murdered, never to come back again. Putting up my mom's fucking emails about just basically saying be a jerk to him if he's being a jerk to you. The email was my mom saying we should put the kids in Hitler youth costumes and take pictures of them in front of the new churches that they're going to go to the end of the game. Joking around, nothing was ever done with it. I think it was just saying let's be a jerk if you're going to be a jerk. Right. She made us look crazy. She made us look crazy. And then they had me on page saying to Katie, if this guy keeps messing with my family, I'm going to do some Nazi. I'm going to get someone to do Nazi shit on it. Just basically go crazy on him. I wasn't talking about killing the guy. Right. She's he's talking about this, you're Jewish, but they keep talking about the Nazi shit, and they're going to do killing, and they want to dress the kids up in Hitler youth costumes, and and then she kept putting up photos of the autopsy, close-up headshots of the autopsy, fresh photos, and would leave them up on the screen, and it was a 8-foot by 12-foot screen, and we just need a photo up and talk for 5 minutes. And then she did that twice and left the photo up for a good 5 minutes each time. Right. And then she made the whole case not about what happened, but about making my mom look crazy, making my sister look like some bitch who thought she was so much better than the people in Tallahassee, and I showed up on the crime scene because she couldn't help herself. And then Kappelman goes, and even Charlie's best friend, Ryan Fitzpatrick, said you could get away with murder if you keep your mouth shut. I'm in 2014, you got my text messages, and y'all, reasonable doubt means you reasonably believe that this person is responsible. Y'all, she put on the southern accent, y'all, use your common sense. And she came out all folksy and sweet and southern and really put the Tallahassee charm on. And, y'all, use your common sense. Well, I got up there, I did an awesome job testifying, I told them what happened. But your common sense is that if the chick shows up at the murder scene, his ex-husband, and she benefits from it, she had to have known. Nobody drives 17 minutes and shows up someplace by accident that day. The truth is that happened. But it's one of those things, if I said, so what are the chances of her leaving her house, driving to go down that street an hour after it happened on that date, on that time? It would have to be 1/10,000? Right. Well, you know, like, and then they did that a ton of times, and then they did my TV joke, which when I gave her the TV set, it was because she was leaving out of that house, and I asked my mom what she needed. If she needed a TV set, so they go buy a really nice set, and I'll pay for it. So I made a joke when I gave you the set. Well, you got the TV set joke. That TV that day was getting repaired. So they were saying that was her alibi. My mom made an appointment to fix the TV because the TV set cost about the TV joke, the TV price. I'm like, there is no code.
Yeah.
Well,
You call tonight, buddy.
call you tonight?
Whatever you can. Yeah, whatever you can.
Yeah. I'll hit you up
All right.
tonight. That's sorry to go on, dude.
No, dude. We're buddies, man. You know, I'm here for you.
Yeah,
I'm here for you.
it's tough.
All right.
All right,
Talk later.
homie.
Oh, this was another thing I was going to say, that the mother, Donna, was lamenting about how Wendy's cut them off. There was this one call where she was saying, well, I guess we were great nannies. I don't know. She's talking to some woman. And the woman says, yeah, or something like, yeah, that's right, or that's true. She's like, well, I guess we were great nannies, but now the kids are older and they can go out with their friends or they can be more independent. And I guess she doesn't need us anymore. And that's that. And she said, that's really hurtful. And she said, I've got one son I don't talk to. I've got another son who's almost dead. And my daughter, who I love, is doing this. And like, so basically, Wendy has cut off Donna and Harvey. And she was also saying, I can't believe she's not once called about her brother. She hasn't asked about him. I even lied to him when he said, how's Wendy holding up? And she just made some excuse about, you know, not really taking calls or anything. So she didn't have to tell him that Wendy's literally not asked about him at all. Then in one of the calls, Donna's saying she's reading out loud Wendy's text to whoever this lady is visiting her and saying, Dear Mom, I know you're upset about the verdict, but paraphrase, basically, stop emailing, stop texting me about this. Do not text me or call me about this again. And has just completely shut them out. Then they were bitching about Donna and Charlie. She's bitching to Charlie about how the Markells want, now they're trying to get, the bottom line is they're trying to get to the kids. And then Charlie goes on this stupid rant about how they finally get to see the kids and they don't even hug them and they're only there for like 90 minutes. And he's like putting them down about it. And it's like, you haven't seen these kids in 10 years except for like once or twice. And you know, it's probably weird as heck. You don't want to run up and hug people, your grandchildren who have basically been brainwashed against you their whole life. And they have been. And from what somebody said, one of the lawyers I heard said, it was Wendy who set the timeline. Wendy made it be 90 minutes and awkward. So he's trying to use that as like something to disparage them. And Donna is just like, oh my God, I want the kids. And it's like, girl, you had them to yourself for 10 years because you had their dad murdered. So, you know, I think you got your reward enough. And it's time for you to pay. And Wendy too. It makes me frustrated when I hear people say things like, oh, there's not enough on Wendy to send her to jail. And I think that that's a load of crap. And there's probably a lot more reasons why, like somebody else pointed out, Katie McBonowa probably has some stuff on Wendy, and there's probably emails and maybe some WhatsApp, and maybe there are some recorded phone calls. You know, I've been imagining, like if I was Wendy, which I would never be, I have 2 young boys, and actually, quite sad. So her kids were 3 and 4, almost 5 when she had their dad murdered, in my opinion. And now they're 13 and 14. And my sons are almost exactly those ages. So it's really, really sad. It's so terrible. I have a baby's daddy. What's that? Oh, okay, it's almost time for my son to be out of fencing. So I have a baby's daddy who, you know, we're not together anymore. I've known him since 1989. I love him. We had a very problematic relationship, but yet, you know, we've always both loved and respected that each other and that we are co-parents. And it has not always been easy, but it's always been consistent. Well, not always, but almost always been consistent. And I just also, as a person who grew up without one of my biological parents, without any contact from my biological mother, because not without any contact from her, but basically cutting her off because she was toxic as fuck and she abused and harmed me and did all kinds of terrible stuff. So I know what it feels like to live being completely separated from a biological parent, even though in my case, she's still technically alive, but she will never get to know me and will never have time with me ever again, and she'll never meet my children. And that's her punishment for being a horrible, toxic person who was an abuser. One of the most abusive things my biological mother did to me was lie to me about who my biological father was. So from birth until almost 5 years old, she was telling me my biological father was another man, who it wasn't. And she was doing that for so many reasons: hatred, revenge. She was quite vindictive and evil, despite whatever good qualities she may have had. That was no overcoming her awful, abusive ways. Getting double child support, because she also had a man trapped. He thought he was my father, although he was abusive to me in a lot of terrible and the worst ways. And even just yesterday, I was on the phone with my mom, who raised me. My mom married my dad when I was 3, and then they got full custody of us when I was a week away from 5, or a month away from 5. And she's my best friend, and I love her to pieces. I love her. She's my savior. Not that she was, didn't have her own issues, but I was just talking to her yesterday, walking home from bringing my son to fencing, and it somehow came up that how when my biological mother stalked me when I was 12, and then she showed up at our house, and she told me again, he's not your real father, even though I had forgotten about it pretty much, and I had accepted that I was with my real dad and the person I consider my real mom. And that when I was 12, almost 13, her saying that to me, it's it destroyed me. It was so horrible for so many years. So I personally have a trauma around my biological mother and my biological father, and my biological mother trying to erase from existence who my dad even was. Literally tried to make it like he wasn't my father, even though his name is on my birth certificate, and they were technically still married when they had me, even though he had already moved out before I was conceived. But anyway, I just want to add this on yet another day, because the pain of losing your father is severe. It's like a lifelong thing you never really get over. And when you add in the fact that it was at your own biological mother's hand, whether it was through lies or murder for hire, I mean, it's just so awful to do that to your children for your own selfishness. It's disgusting. It's despicable. And it's criminal as well. And it's jailable, I believe. But because of that, it was super important to me that I always make sure that my children have a father, have their dad, and that sometimes I have to sacrifice and be without them, and it fucking hurts, and I don't like it. Just like they said about Wendy. That was one of the things that I could relate to more than anything, was Wendy hated co-parenting. Wendy didn't like having to split her children. And hey, that's exactly where I I live. I don't like when my kids have to go, but they do. But I do like the fact that they have their dad who loves them and they have a relationship with him that's good and consistent. So I put my pride aside and my desire to have my children all to myself so that they can have a healthy, loving relationship with their father, because that is so important. That's so much more important than me just being a selfish fucking wanker, like a fucking selfish witch bitch, that Miami bitch Wendy. Well, I guess it's so fascinating because it's like a whole motherfucking murderous family. That is crazy. And I hope one day Rob, the brother, who was estranged because he married a woman who's Hindi and not Jewish. Those fucking racist. Oh, and Charlie is racist as a motherfucker. You ever hear him? You hear him talk? He is so racist. Just like, ugh, can't stand him. And yeah. So I guess I'm gonna leave this here. And thank you for listening. And I hope it was watchable as I massage the fucking pain in my neck. Wendy's a pain in my neck. And if I could just massage her out. You know what I mean? Girl, you have it coming. You have it coming. She's going to jail. I will bet, like that other racist motherfucker, Ryan Fitzpatrick, I was glad that he testified, but he's a racist too. And he said over under jail for life. Well, I'm not sure what the over-under on any of that stuff, and I don't actually even gamble, but I bet you Wendy's going down. So I think she's going down. I think, oh, who said it on Surviving the Survivor? Said, I don't know, one of the lawyers on Surviving the Survivor said they're going to have her testify in Donna's trial, and then when she's trying to leave the courthouse, they'll arrest her. I was like, that would be pretty funny. But oh, that's what I was saying, that like I have been fantasizing, like, would she run away? Would she try to run? Would she try to, run with her kids? Would she say, well, fuck it, I guess I'm never gonna see my kids anyway if I end up in jail, so let me just run. I can run better if I'm by myself than if I've got my two kids. And, easier to disguise herself. So, I was just like drifting off to sleep last night thinking about Wendy Adelson. Like, maybe she'll get like a wig. She could take out her fake eye contacts. She could stop dyeing her hair or dye it another color. She could try to disguise herself. Outfit and, like, where's she gonna go? She can go to Timbuktu. She could go to Vietnam. No, she can't go to Vietnam because her mom already fucked that up for her. But, I'm just wondering, like, is she gonna try to run? Or is she gonna get snagged? Okay, now I have this. It's not a hot water bottle. I have one coming tomorrow. This is something that I had when my son hurt his arm. I put hot water in it and it's got a t-shirt wrapped around it. Because I think I completely forgot to finish. I just noticed my Good and Plenty. Right there. It's not an ad for Good and Plenty. Vegan candy. Okay. Oh, you want some? Oh, I know it's not nice to have candy and not share with the class. Here, you can have some. A little more. Okay. Yes, Good and Plenty is very good and plenty. And it's black licorice inside the hard candy. One of my favorites. Oh, my sister's gonna go get my son. He'll be home any minute. While I'm doing some self-care, let me continue. So I think I didn't finish the thought, which was that Jeffrey Lacasse had also said that he had said to Wendy, I want to know if you're planning to go back to South Florida, because I don't want to be dating you for 2 years and then you just up and move. And she had said, well, no, because I'm stuck here because of the kid's father won't let me leave. And she said, well, I don't know if she said that exactly, but so she said, well, no, unless something were to happen to Dan. If something happened to Dan, I would go back. And then he said something like, well, since that's never going to happen, well, what about us? He said he was so hyper-focused on himself and her. And then she said, well, actually, Charlie did look into hiring a hitman last summer, which would have been June of 2013. And she said it dead serious. It made his stomach flip. It was not at all like the joke about my brother said he was going to hire a hitman, but it was cheaper to get a TV, which was another thing. There were so many other little reasons that I didn't get into. I thought I had covered them all. Okay, so that's right. There was the TV code. Oh, okay. There was the fact that Jeffrey Lacoste said that he saw the TV. He saw the TV busted, and he said, she was like, oh, there's something wrong with the TV. Can you take a look at it? And he said when he took a look at it, he was like, it's busted. There's a big crack. It's like something was thrown at it. And then she said something like, oh, I think the kids threw the remote. And he said that he would play catch with the boys. They were 3 and 4 years old. And he said there was no way. There was absolutely no way they had that kind of arm strength to make the damage that the impact that would have had to make a crack like that. He said maybe somebody punched it really hard with a fist, which I thought, why would you punch a glass thing with your bare fist? But whatever. Or threw a heavy object at it, way harder than a little baby toddler could do. So there was that. Then there was the fact that so it's so obvious. Who thinks that you could repair that? And if you did think you could repair that, wouldn't you probably have to bring it somewhere so they could do the surgery? Take the cover off. But it's not a phone. You don't anyway, it was he said it was so ridiculous, and I'm probably paraphrasing, why are you asking what needs to be done? And then he said it wasn't even that fancy of a TV. It was something you'd see in a dorm room, a flat screen TV on the wall, and it was kind of high up. So again, how are the kids going to throw something that hard at it that high? I'm not saying it's impossible. Unlikely. Don't tell me they can't. These motherfuckers have the most uncanny timing. Wow. I literally went downstairs 5 minutes ago to unlock the door, so when my son got here, it'd be unlocked. My neighbors have the most uncanny timing that they always come home. It's no matter what time, day or night, they always seem to be right behind me, locking the door. Or they used to always be blocking me into the driveway when I had the car. Anyway, I got distracted because I thought my son was home. So then there was also Jeffrey Lacoste, I believe, said, I don't know if it was him for sure or if that was part of her alibi. The reason she had an 18-minute long call in part that morning with Charlie was to talk about, is it worth it to get the TV fixed or to buy a new one? Again, who? Oh, look, I was wondering if it was going to leak. I guess it is. It's not an actual water bottle. Okay, cool. It's my son. Hold on. Yeah, he had hurt his arm several years ago now, and he had to put this on to shower. Ooh, it's warm. It's not a water bottle at all, hot water bottle. But tomorrow I'll have a hot water bottle, and I'll be officially an old lady. But damn, I need it. So the fact that she needs to talk to her brother. I mean, oh, and then Charlie was saying, oh, I was talking to her because I was having a fight with my girlfriend, who I think was Katie. And Katie McManaman. You know, so again, it was like, why do you need to have a conversation about whether or not this thing needs to be fixed when it's so obviously broken? And the fact that it was broken the way it was broken seemed highly suspicious, like it was done on purpose for a reason. And Charlie was trying to say in the phone calls on the jail, oh, no, nobody would use a TV repair appointment as an alibi because they give you a certain block of time. And I'm like, well, isn't that kind of perfect though? And, you know, and he's like, you don't know if they're going to come or not. And it's like, what the fuck? That was so irrelevant. Like, it didn't matter, really. But, and then he was saying to Bree, his baby mama, what she was saying to him, and then he did kind of correct her. Yes, he did. But then he was kind of repeating it to his mom, which I thought was stupid. But I don't know. About if you were involved in a crime, driving by that crime would be the last place you would ever go. And I'm like, no, most of the time, like police and detectives always take pictures of the crowds at any crime scene because almost always the perpetrator comes back. Because I don't know if it's duper's delight, I don't know if it's some sick, twisted enjoyment of whatever they did. You know, and then Charlie started to say, yeah, like the arsonist who starts the fire and then goes back to watch it burn because, you know, that's part of the whole thrill of it is to see it and to see how others are reacting to it. And oh my fucking God. And often they will offer help and they'll seem extremely helpful, at least at first. And they'll offer suspects, just like Wendy Adelson. She had her brother, her mom and dad, her ex-boy, well, he didn't really become her ex-boyfriend. He said it was very unclear because she kept stringing him on for like a month. But, you know, her freshly ex-boyfriend was a suspect. And herself. She offered herself up as a suspect. And I feel that she gave her phone and her laptop away in her house access so freely because she had it all planned. And like Georgia Kaplan talked about, they had a very specific train of communication, so she felt nobody's gonna know. And I'm just really, really hopeful that Georgia does and all the rest. Oh my God. All right, I don't know if there'll be more that I forgot to add, but maybe I'll make another video if there's interest. Okay. So Wendy told the TV hitman joke to Jeff Lacasse. When the TV repairman came, she told him the joke. And then 20 minutes into her police interview, she told the police. And also, she made it seem like she was so cooperative. She gave over her phone. She gave over her laptop. She let them look in her house. But 48 hours after Dan Markel's memorial, she left to South Florida, and she never spoke to the detectives again, or the police. And actually, she says to the investigators during the July 18th night of the murder police investigation or police interview of Wendy, she's not going to need her laptop back because she's not going to go back to work. You know, she was like, oh, I'm not going to be working. But in fact, I believe that was actually her revealing that it was premeditated. She knew she wasn't going to go back to work. This is what I'm saying. So what? She gave over her phone and her laptop and her house. She was moving. She was not going back to work or needing that job. And Jeffrey Lacasse said in another interview afterwards, she got a new phone, a new hand. He said it was the same phone number, but she already had replaced her phone. She had no intention of getting the phone back, the laptop back, or even going back to that house. And Jeffrey also mentioned in his police interview that she had gotten a new phone and that she did tell him in one of their 2 conversations they had sometime in August, which was the last time they spoke, that she believed the cops were bugging her phone. But she already had replaced her phone. She had no intention of getting the phone back, the laptop back, or even going back to that house. So that leads me to believe that if this had been a planned murder, her house would have been spotless top to bottom and have absolutely no evidence because it was planned. So she knew the cops were going to be coming. She knew she'd have to be handing over the keys. Her laptop would have been prepared and planned and cleaned, and anything on there that might have incriminated her, she could have previously cleared it off. Same with the cell phone. Now, I do believe that she did delete text messages and phone calls, as well as WhatsApp messages that may or may not have ever been retrieved. And there might be things that they have of recordings or messages, emails and so forth that we don't even know about, which is what I'm hopeful of. But the fact that she handed everything over, I feel, was just part of her whole calculated plan, considering it was what she said to Jeffrey Lacoste. Well, Charlie was looking into a hitman back in the summer of 2013, and this happened in July of 2014. That means she had an entire year to plan. She had an entire year to get her phone, her laptop, her house cleaned up. She had an entire year to plan out, planting seeds. I believe the entire relationship with Jeffrey Lacoste was planned. He said in his interview that he had recently been divorced, and so had she, and that was what they bonded over, that they had picked the wrong person. So I believe that he was a very vulnerable, easy target, and she literally played him and in fact never cared about him. He was, I believe, the perfect person to frame. And that's why she brought him up and said he was a good suspect, because that's what she intended. Only problem was that she also handed over the other suspects, who were the actual criminals, and they were much more guilty than her innocent and extremely intelligent ex. Well, and that's the other thing. He wasn't even technically her ex at the time. So she framed her boyfriend because they weren't even officially broken up at the time. What a... And the only reason that she testified at all was because she was subpoenaed. And Georgia Kappelman pointed out, if you were subpoenaed by the defense, you wouldn't get any immunity. Is that correct? And she said correct. So she waited until she was subpoenaed by the state so she could get some limited immunity, which she does have, but that is not going to be enough to keep her ass out of jail. I turned off that light. Let's see. I just want to show where I'm at right now. Let's see. Okay. So I have this. This is a heating blanket. It's an electric blanket. I'm like trying not to move from this spot because under here I've got this pressing. I'm pressing this against me, and this is nice and heated. Let me see. Okay, I did lean down. So this is the blanket. What's it called? I don't even know. Siga. Okay. But so far I like it. I have 2. Oh look. Oh look, there's my YouTube in there. You see that? So it's got 6 settings, and this means 10 hours. So you can turn it on for 1 hour or up to 10. And it goes down to 1. Like just a tiny little bit of heat. So I have it on the highest setting right now, and I have it, so it's a little bit weird, like the way they have the placement of the wire, but I guess whatever, it's okay. So I have it like folded. Oh, this side looks like this. And so I usually don't ever put it bare against my skin, but I got sick of that dripping heating bottle. I did notice yesterday I was doing this, and I noticed after a little while of there with the heat, the muscles started to feel like warm, and they were like a little bit easier to get down on it. So I'll be doing this for the rest of the night, working this down. Good morning. Now it's the next day. I actually just posted the video and then realized, oh wait, I never made this point about the broken TV. So Jeffrey Lacoste had said he came to her house. She was like, can you check out my TV? He was like, within a second, he was like, it's obviously broken. Then he had gone to rent a movie at the Red Box because this was 2013. So he had like an actual DVD. And the plan was that him and Wendy and the two boys who were 3 and 4 were going to watch some cartoon movie he picked up for them. So he saw the TV and he was like, okay, it looks busted. Like, who fixes that? Nobody. Okay. So he said he went to get the DVD player to set it up in the bedroom because there's a big TV back there and they've watched TV back there with the kids before. So when he went to, I guess maybe he like went to get the DVD player, and she was like, no, don't do it. And said to him, oh, it's not going to work. And he thought that was very odd because he was like, in his mind, like, why wouldn't that work? But again, I'm paraphrasing, but you know, he was like, that was so unusual. And not only that, she made them watch the movie on the broken TV. Which, like, I literally had to pull my video off and pop this back in because that is very bizarre. It's like she wants to prove that there's a broken TV. She's acting like she doesn't realize it's not fixable. Then she forces the man to watch a movie on it as if it's like to ingrain it in his brain that this is a broken TV. Okay. And then he said it wasn't even that expensive of a TV. He even said to her, how about I'll go to Best Buy and I'll go pick one up for you. He said it was not even like at all an expensive thing. And he was like, I'm happy to go do it. I'll go pick up one for you. And she turned him down a couple times. So he was like, okay. And he said, even though he thought it was so bizarre, again, maybe my words, so unusual that she did force them to watch the video on the broken TV. He said, you know what, her house, her TV, her kids. I'm not going to get into it. I'm just going to say, okay. And Jeffrey's account of this TV not being that expensive contradicts Charlie's jailhouse call claims that TVs costed about $5,000, and that was why his mother arbitrarily said, like the TV, $5. Something about the TV costing $5. The last TV cost $5. And he automatically knew that was $5,000 because TVs cost $5,000 back then. But that contradicts Jeffrey's saying it obviously wasn't an expensive TV. That's why I offered her a few times, like, I can go pick one up right now. And she refused. And also forced them to watch a movie on it when she had another TV in the house. Then I believe the TV repairman also thought it was very clear and obvious this is not a repairable TV. Also, I'm not sure whether or not the TV repairman testified. I didn't see that part. And I think he might have testified to the fact that it was obvious that the TV wasn't fixable. Like, it was so clear. This is not a fixable thing. This is, and like I said earlier, even if it was fixable, that's the kind of thing where you have to bring it to the Best Buy and they have to like remove the top of the glass and put a new one. And I don't know if they even do that for televisions at this point. And I'd have to find the exact thing, but I think it was odd to him too, that she was asking if this thing was repairable, which leads more to the idea that it was all just for an alibi, and it was also part of the code of the TV, and that really was not a broken TV that could be fixed. It was broken on purpose for the whole purpose of all that BS. So the fact that the TV was the TV that Charlie bought her instead of a hitman, that it was so-called broken, but according to Jeff Lacasse, looked like it was broken on purpose by a grown-up for a specific purpose. And then Wendy had lied about, did she make the appointment with Geek Squad for the TV repair, or did her mother make the appointment? That was a contention of who had done that, because she was also in communication with Donna. So the TV and the TV repair was something Donna and Wendy and Charlie were talking about on the day of the murder. And the day of the murder was when the TV repairman came. And I think Wendy even lied about what time he left, that he left a little later than he actually left. So I really wanted to add this extra part to the video because it's already long, I'm kind of rambling. See, right, the TV hitman joke, which she told to the TV repairman, and she never told Jeff personally that her husband had been shot. I think I might have mentioned that already, where he said he couldn't believe it, that, you know, he said when they first started dating, it was casual and she was dating other men. And then it got serious, what he thought was serious. And then, you know, he was there with the kids all the time. Well, when they weren't with Dan. And, you know, he said it was just so bizarre. And that he heard it from Jane, that they all thought he was a suspect. And Jane was the friend who had introduced them, and as well was a friend who had come the day of Wendy's police interview the first time, well, the only time, on July 18th, 2014. And they were trying to get a friend to be able to go pick up the kids because it was going to be too long. So Jane was one and Lynn was the other, and Jane ended up coming to the police station and was actually in the police interview for a little while. And she was the one who first said Jeff Lacasse's name. But that was after Wendy had been feeding her information. And another thing was that Jane and Wendy had gone for a long walk earlier, like Tuesday in the week. And Wendy had told her all this stuff about Jeff being so jealous, and basically feeding her the line that made her believe he might be crazy enough to do this. And then also she claimed she had laryngitis. And as somebody pointed out in one of the comments on one of my videos, wasn't it convenient that she had laryngitis, but yet she was perfectly fine to have that long conversation with Jane, where she was feeding the seeds of Jeff's guilt? Another thing Jeff said was that she had cheated on him basically the whole time. And no, being a cheater does not at all make you a murderer. And the fact that you've cheated is not evidence of murder. But it is evidence of being able to lie and to deceive and to be somebody who's not trustworthy, and to be somebody who can pretend that things are one way when they're actually a complete different way, and not in a good way. Being able to hide that you have multiple partners, and according to Jeff, they were multiple sexual partners, and deceiving the partner or partners takes a type of person that's not good. It's not good to be a lying, cheating, backstabbing, two-timing Miami bitch. Then there's also the very good point that claiming somebody is extremely jealous, irrationally jealous, but yet you are cheating on them, you are being unfaithful, you are lying, you are doing things that are lies, going against what you said you would do, you're betraying them, you are breaking your word. You are cheating. But then you try to gaslight the person you're cheating on by telling them that they're crazy and they're jealous and they're irrational. And then you try to gaslight other people saying, oh my God, he's so jealous and so crazy. But actually, he's telling the truth and he's not crazy. He's perceiving the fact that you're a lying, cheating bitch. And even Georgia Kappelman said to Wendy, if you were having relations with other men while you're with Jeff, again, paraphrasing, if he was jealous, didn't he have a reason to be jealous? And I don't remember exactly what she said, but of course it was some type of denial. And that's even just another reason. So sick and twisted. Not only are you a lying, cheating fucking bitch, you're gaslighting on top of it. You're gaslighting. You are doing things that are wrong, that are suspicious, and the person is noticing and calling you out, and then you turn around and you flip it and say, no, you're jealous and insecure. The DARVO. The deny, attack, reverse offender, and victim. Reverse victim offender. I always knew DARVO, but I never quite understood the last part. Reverse victim offender, which means the person who is the offender takes on the role of the victim and paints the victim as the offender. Oh, you're so jealous. You're so crazy. I can't take it. Oh, you're so scary. No, bitch, you're lying and you're cheating. And Jeffrey said that he realized that she had been cheating on him basically the whole time. And Jeff said he realized he was probably boyfriend number 2, if even that, because she'd been basically cheating on him the whole time. And he said that he always suspected she had a boyfriend down in South Florida because every other week she was down there. And then when she was down there, it was like no calls, no texts. She would just mostly go quiet. So he said he always suspected she had another boyfriend, at least one, but he knew of a few others. And another thing, just to say, which again, this is nothing about Wendy's guilt, but Charlie's baby's mama was Wendy's boyfriend David's nanny. One of Wendy's boyfriends, David, had a nanny, and the nanny was Bree. Charlie got Wendy's boyfriend's nanny pregnant, and that's the mother of his child. And from what I can see online, which was just one photo, it appears that she might be white. And I just thought so weird that he had a string, like an actual, like a slew of women that he liked to fuck with, and they were all Asian, but the one girl he gets pregnant is white. Just thought that was kind of just more evidence that this motherfucker's a racist, using, disgusting person, and so is his sister. Okay, I'm sure there's even more, and I would love to see Georgia Kappelman's list of reasons why Wendy Adelson is guilty AF as a motherfucker. Okay, see you. Bye.
In June, I was walking around saying to all my friends, I don't know what is going on. Something is going on. We had that very frank talk about that and decided to stay together. She said, it's one guy. He's gone. He literally moved out of the area, as you probably know. So in June, I was walking around saying to my friends, I don't know what's going on. It's just uncanny to think back on it now. I said, I don't know what's going on, but something's gonna happen. Like, it feels like there's drum beats. It feels like we're moving towards something. It's really, really strange. I don't know what's going on. And one of the strange things that happened was we had a trip to California scheduled to see my parents the week that Danny was killed. And in early June, she rescheduled that trip. And I said, what's the problem with the trip? She says, well, I'm worried we'll get stuck in the airport and we won't be back on Friday. I have to pick up the kids.
She's talking about Danny. She is completely...
Where are we at?
We're at her house in the living room in late June.
In late June of 2013?
Yeah, 2014, yeah.
I'm sorry, 2014.
Yeah, late June. And you know what, this might have even been, this is sometime between June 20th and the Monday before Danny was shot.
Okay.
And I want to say it was right before, but I don't trust my memory on that, the date. And she's talking about Danny because that's all she ever talked about. Danny wasn't a human being, he was Satan.
He was what?
He was Satan.
Satan,
Yeah.
okay.
And what was real strange about this was that in January, February, March, they had a lot of court stuff, and I could see why she'd be so pissed off at Danny. Danny had calmed down. He liked his new girlfriend. The judge had read him the riot act in court when they went to court the one time and told the other attorney, you need to calm your client down and stop having your client write his own legal briefs. I'm sick of reading this crap. You know, Danny was going to get his butt handed to him by the court, and Wendy was going to have to concede a couple things, but she was going to win, everybody thought. And he had calmed down. He really had. So I was trying to say, maybe we could talk about Danny a little less. Danny's chill. Danny's happy with Amy. This is good. This is good for us, you know? And I was starting to see Danny a little more realistically at that point. So she's in the middle of all these conversations where she's just ranting and raving about Danny. Very angry with Danny. She's very sensitive, and the worst thing you could do for Wendy is point out that she's not perfect. And that's what Danny represented to her is, he said, you're a liar. You know, things like that. Anyway, she just comes out of the blue, and I said, well, I just wish something, I can't remember exactly what I said, but I was like, you know, this isn't going to ever be fixed in the way you want it. This is, you're linked to this man for your life. You know, there's no fix for this, but you have to fix what you think and feel. And she said, well, you know, Charlie did look into having him killed last summer. He said it would cost about $15,000.
$15,000?
That's right. Seems cheap to me, but you would know better than I. And
it's I want to make sure I understand this completely.
Please.
So June, what was the date?
Between June 20th and March 14th, let's say. I think it's probably I think it's closer to July, between June 20th and July 14th. I think it's closer to July 14th.
Okay. She says, you know, Charlie
did actually look into having him killed last summer. And he was told it would cost $15,000. And one of Charlie's...
This is just paraphrased, but I want to make sure I understand. Yeah. Charlie did look into having
Danny killed last summer. It would cost about $15,000. And that's not exactly word for word, but that's pretty close to what she said. I wish to God I had followed up. But how do you respond to that? What do you say?
What did you say?
I changed the subject to us. I was interested in working our relationship out.
Did she ever bring that up again?
No. Never again.
That could have been responsible. Or student, or his current girlfriend. I mentioned lots of people that I thought could be responsible. Okay, and of the lots of people that could have been responsible, your family was one. Yep. Because they might have done this thinking it would help you. I mean, that's what happened, right? I'm sorry, I don't understand the question. Your family had your ex-husband killed to try to help you, didn't they? No, that's completely untrue.
Now, these jail calls between Donna and
Wendy
Charlie.
Adelson's micro-expression when Georgia Kappelman says your
family
family had your ex killed, didn't they? And she does a tiny micro wiggle,
I don't understand the question.
which I think is acknowledgement of the truth.
Ex-husband killed to try to help
It's
you,
fear.
didn't they? Family had your ex-husband killed to try to help you, didn't they? No, that's completely untrue. Family had your ex-husband killed to try to help you, didn't they? Ex-husband killed to try to help you, didn't they? Ex-husband killed to try to help you, didn't they? Ex-husband killed to try to help you, didn't they? Family had your ex-husband killed to try to help you, didn't they? Ex-husband killed to try to help you, didn't they? Ex-husband killed to try to help you, didn't they? No, that's completely untrue. It would help you.
It's it's a zinger.
That's what
You
happened,
see
right?
it, that it's true.
Your ex-husband killed to try to help you, didn't they?
No, that's
I
completely
believe
untrue.
that's
Your
tiny, but
ex-husband
I really
killed
think
to
it's
try to
there.
help you, didn't they?
No, that's completely untrue.
Your ex-husband killed to try to help you, didn't they?
No, that's completely untrue.
Now, these jail calls between Donna and from a call where Donna obviously doesn't realize she is being recorded after Charlie drops off the jail call. She's reading text messages between herself and Wendy.
I just got off with Charlie. He's worried about you. He wants to know what. Oh, this is it. Yeah. We know you never ask anything about your brother. But she doesn't. And she told me because her lawyer says she shouldn't ask. But we found out it's not true. But we just got off the phone with him. My attorney. It's us. And he had no attorney. No attorney said, I never told her that. Like, never be boxed. No. So I wrote this last night. We know you never asked anything about your brother. This 8 o'clock last night. But we just got off the phone with him. And the first thing he asked was, how's Wendy holding? I didn't have the heart to tell him that you never called us or asked about it. I just said, we weren't up to phone calls right now. Everyone looks to protect you. I bet you've got a lot to think about. But then, she happened. She says, this morning, I thought you'd be racing over here last night. Yeah. Dear Mom, I know you were upset by the verdict, but the anger directed at me is not justified. I don't have an anger. You know, I'm not responsible in any way for Charlie's situation. I am not guilty because I did not do anything wrong, and I was not involved in any way with Danny's death. What? When I was interviewed by the police and testified in court, I told the truth as I was required to. I cannot control how the prosecutor used my statement for Charlie's trial. Again, I didn't say that.
Now, Donna continues to read the text, presumably to her husband, Harvey, and friends who were at the home at the time.
None of what we wrote matters about the case. That's over. I just want you to know you are and have always been there. I guess Dad and I are just shocked that you didn't think of coming to see us or even calling us. We are your parents. You are and have always been there for you and the boy. None of what we wrote matters about the case. That's over. I just want you to know how many times Charlie is asking about you. Not only do you not ask about us, but not one question about Charlie, right? We will need to give you some information shortly, and we need some business assistance. Please let us know if you can be of any help. I have a space here. I want to get the code. We're going to be gone. I want her to have all this information. I have the cemetery property. I want her to see all. I want her to have all these tapes and the wills. I want her to see all this. So please let us know if you can be of any help. The other thing is the visa, which she would know about. But no, I said we need some business. So please let us know.
So Donna Adelson clearly feels like Wendy is not being completely honest with them and is ignoring them, and she's feeling used.
Yeah, I know you want to bring it up and show where everything is. And it's been tight fast. No one's going to know where anything is or who belongs to what. So I would like her to come up there to say it. I don't think that's asking too. There's only 3 hours of it. Every time she says, can we do this? We'll come here and talk. Everything. How many times do we have classes? I really can't ask Wendy needs us for this. Wendy needs us to pay us. They've been really good nannies, and I guess our job is up. Because now the boys are older, they go out with friends, they can do things on their own. So she doesn't need grandma and grandpa. Okay. Praise Lord. I have one son that I don't speak with. You have one son that is close to being dead. My daughter whom I love is doing this. I don't get it. I don't get it. Daughter whom I love is doing this. I don't get it. I don't get it.